On July 22nd, 1999, the leaders of the People's Republic of China issued an arrest warrant for this man, now living in the United States. The warrant read in part, "Wanted for disturbing public order, Li Hongzhi, gender, male, ethnicity, Han, speaks Mandarin with a northeastern accent, eyebrows slope to the middle of his brow." With these words, the government also banned the spiritual practice he founded.
Official notice, the Department of Security, People's Republic of China. The Department of Civil Affairs of the People's Republic of China declares that the Fалунь Дафа Research Society and the Falun Gong organization under its control are illegal organizations that should be banned. It is hereby prohibited for anyone in any circumstances to distribute books, video, audio tapes, or any other materials that propagate Fалунь Дафа or Falun Gong. It is prohibited to hold gatherings or demonstrations that uphold or propagate Falun Gong, such as sit-ins or appeals. It is prohibited for anyone to organize, coordinate, or direct any activities that go against the government. July 22nd, 1999.
And so it began, the official persecution of a popular spiritual practice that has, in its severity and dogma, been likened to the darkest days of China's cultural revolution. Government-produced TV shows like this carry out a shrill campaign of defamation against the practitioners of Falun Gong. Propaganda like this prompted one Beijing citizen to tell the New York Times, "It is as though we are reliving a bad dream." Why is China marshaling all of its resources to crush nonviolent and non-political spiritual practitioners? What is Falun Gong or Falun Dafa? Why are 100 million people drawn to it? Is it a dangerous cult, as its detractors insist, or a beneficial practice promising health and spiritual growth? And who is Falun Gong founder Li Hongzhi, who some Chinese newspapers are even denouncing as a reincarnation of Adolf Hitler? Is he a teacher or a political terrorist? And now the Chinese government says it will prosecute the so-called Falun Gong leaders, even though Falun Gong says it has no leaders. They insist they must be punished, perhaps with life sentences, but they won't let the accused have lawyers. Can they get a fair trial in China? What is the real story? Qigong is a traditional Chinese exercise system with a long history. Many utilize it for their physical well-being. Falun Gong draws on Qigong, but also brings to it its own philosophy and characteristics based on both Buddhist and Taoist thought. Falun Gong incorporates some Buddhist principles like the law wheel and the yin-yang of Taoism, but it is a distinctive world of thought on its own, neither Buddhist or Taoist. Falun Gong promotes physical and mental balance, bringing together mind, spirit, and reality to achieve a closer harmony with nature and the universe.
We are doing the first exercise called Buddha Showing the Thousand Hands exercise. This exercise involves 8 different movements. The core of this exercise is stretching.
Stretch to the side, stretch, hands up, heels down, arms stretch to the side, then suddenly relax.
By doing so, people can open up all the energy channels in their body very quickly at the beginning and create a good energy field.
Falun Gong might look like Tai Chi or some martial art, but it reflects a deeper approach to human development, seeking to guide people to a higher understanding of spiritual values and moral consciousness.
When I found this, it gave me answers to the question and gave me the thing I was looking for in my life. It influenced all parts of my life, like my work and my everyday life. It helps me to be more sure of what I'm doing, and I can distinguish right from wrong more easily now.
In China, Falun Gong is referred to as a cultivation practice, a way for individuals of all ages and from all walks of life to cultivate both mind and body to become better people. Many practitioners say it makes them healthier as well.
He got severely, very sick for quite a while, and he tried a lot of other Qigong exercises, but none of them helped him. So once he started to practice Falunьгун, his health was greatly improved. And since then, since his practice of Falunьгун, that problem never came back to him.
I just couldn't sleep. Every time I laid down, I would get pain. The doctor told me that I had some clogged arteries. I don't know if it's going to cure what my problem is, but I do know that it makes me feel better. Maybe it's the flow. Like I said, I wanted better circulation, but the flow is real. There's something there that's real. It's no joke. I wouldn't be back here today.
Falunьgун is based around 5 sets of exercises accompanied by the study of universal laws and principles. The graceful exercises work on the circulation of energy in the body. While regular physical exercising has long been recommended as a health measure, Falunьgун adds meditation and a moral philosophy, seeking to harness the body's innate strength and wisdom.
Now, how does that make you feel doing that? How does it feel?
I gain a lot of benefits both physically and mentally. By doing the exercise, it increased my physical health tremendously. I used to have a chronic fatigue very often, but now I feel more energetic.
Falunьgун promotes 3 key deeper principles: Zhen, truth and truthfulness; Shan, compassion, kindness, benevolence; Ren, tolerance and forbearance.
Oh, I've changed tremendously, and I've seen how the Zen, Shen, Ren principles really apply, and as long as you apply them, the response is going to be positive.
There's a whole other aspect to Falunьgун. It's not just the physical exercises. When you read the book, it teaches you about certain things like virtues. It's very hard to find examples of that in the modern world. You work in New York City, and you can go the whole day and you don't see anybody doing much of anything nice for anybody else.
There are actually 2 books that lay out the thought of Falunьgун, China Falunьgун and Zhuan Falun. We'll tell you more about them later.
It seems like such a simple thing. You open a book, it talks about compassion, this changed your life? What? Wait a minute. This doesn't... But when I look at all the other practices I've tried in the past, it is the first practice which breaks things down to a very simple exercise and the very simple idea of truth, compassion, forbearance. And just because it's simple doesn't necessarily mean it's not powerful.
Falunьgун is not a religion, it's not a cult or a sect. There is no organization to join, there are no rituals or worship services. No one is making money off of it. It is not political.
We are not interested in politics. Yeah, we don't have any political intention. We are also not against the government. We just try to improve ourselves, cultivate our heart, try to be a good people.
If anybody tries to make money or personal gain from the practice, that's an incorrect approach. You're not a practitioner. You're not doing Falunь Dafa if that's your attitude towards it. So, it's not a money thing at all.
I come from California. I'm very, familiar with every new age wacky thing, and some of my family members have practiced, some of them. So I've always been completely opposed, to that kind of stuff, and I've always had the reputation of being the most grounded, common sense person. That's what people say about me. So when my friends and family heard I was doing this, they were shocked. I'd be the last person they would think, but when they saw me recently, they all said, please tell us what you're doing, because they could see that it had a great effect on me.
What is important to realize is that people who practice Falunьgун do so voluntarily.
Because I have no obligation to anybody when I practice Falunьgун. I don't feel obligated to do this. If one day I say, well, I want to do something else, I want to go shopping, I want to take today off, I can just go. I don't have to report to anybody.
But they're very open about what they do, and they want people to see it, and if they're interested, to try it. That's why you practice publicly in a park. You put up a sign that says, hey, we're doing Falunьgун. If you're interested, come on by. It's free. You can stop by any time and learn it.
I tried yoga and I tried other Qigong practices, and I was looking for something, but I always kind of felt, I'm like, I'm forking out $400 here and, $500, and I'm like, I have to pay for salvation. There's something wrong. And that was another thing that struck me about the practice, that it was for free.
She's teaching the first ones if you want to learn that. You didn't learn those. Go right ahead.
I find that in doing the practice in the park together, we all are really basically bonded together because we enjoy doing this practice. Falun Dafa has changed most of our lives.
Falun Gong spreads mostly by word of mouth. It now has more than 100 million practitioners in 30 countries. Practitioners can be seen all over the world, in public parks and at community centers. They come from all walks of life, young, very young, and old alike, and from every racial, cultural, and religious group.
你自己所要创作的，说这个思想中来的东西是什么？
This is the man responsible for Falun Gong. His name is Li Hongzhi, sometimes referred honorifically as Master Li, because he is considered a master of the practice he founded. He's received awards and recognition all over the world for his work. He introduced Falun Gong to the Chinese public in 1992, but at that time only directly reached about 20,000 people.
He personally taught this practice only for 2.5 years in China, from May 1992 until the end of 1994. And probably around 20,000 people actually listened to his lectures in person in China. After that, he stopped teaching the practice personally. For the past 4 years, really people learn this practice through the word of mouth, because in China, everybody practices exercise early in the morning in the parks. So that's how people really get started.
Li Hongzhi's books, Falun Gong and Zhuan Falun, are available worldwide, free over the internet. They're taught in 9-session workshops where the key ideas are introduced and explained. Li Hongzhi now lives in the United States, where his lectures and teachings reach a growing audience. Here he is in Chicago, working with local practitioners. His ideas are spreading quickly.
Each person gets up in the morning and goes to the park to practice the exercise, the movements, for half an hour, then they go back to work. They are also members of the society. They don't have any organization forms.
Okay, this picture doesn't add up. What I see here with these people and what they're doing, they seem very normal people. They're from all walks of life, all ages. And then on the other side, you got this picture that the Chinese government is painting. And the two just don't match. So people are saying, what is going on here? What's the real story?
Significantly and initially, China's official government TV stations actually credited Falun Gong with reducing the country's expensive health care burden.
这位是财政局的退休女工，叫杨国秀。前几年是出了名的病篓子药贩子。
She used to spend over 2,000 yuan on medical expenses every year. Now with the exercises, she not only doesn't spend a cent, but was awarded a Healthy Citizen Award by the government. My health is so good now. I would like to thank the city government for giving me this award.
China's government initially respected Falun Gong, perhaps because it was so widespread among ordinary people.
Falun Gong is becoming more recognized in China. People are filling parks and gardens to practice it. Falun Gong is beneficial to health and is beneficial to society as well, making society healthier and more productive.
Many members of the Communist Party became practitioners, including military and intelligence officers. At first, there was no conflict.
Just a year ago, we have seen so many positive reports from the media, state-run media in China, about the benefits of Falun Gong. And in fact, in the February issue of this year, in the U.S. News and World Report, when being asked, why are you not banning it, the official said, why should we? Because save millions of dollars in health care.
2 years ago, part of China's government began to turn against Falun Gong.
The practice of Falun Gong and its effects have severely affected the stability of the entire society, as well as the proper functioning of people's lives and work. The outcome of Falun Gong's harmful effects and its widespread influence have brought about significant adverse impact on society.
In July 1999, the leadership reversed itself. It now denounced Falun Gong as an evil cult promoting superstition.
Now the Chinese government is saying that Falun Gong is being a cult and being superstitious and being evil, and the government is just changing the words, according to their political needs.
I don't think it should be called as cult. As for the propagation of superstition, is it that all religions like Buddhism, Catholicism, Christianity are all superstitions? The questions I've been addressed have been within the scope of what they've been talking about.
Initially, a low-level police effort harassed some practitioners, even beating and detaining some of them. They were prevented from gathering together. It seems as if the government convinced itself they were up against a major threat.
The local government and the local policemen arrest and beaten up practitioners because they tried to explain to a magazine which slandered and viciously attacked Falun Gong with fabricated stories. The practitioner went to the magazine and local government to complain about it and clarify the facts and truths.
Two developments seem to have influenced Beijing's turnaround. First, the leadership was reportedly shocked when a survey estimated that as many as 70 to 100 million Chinese citizens have taken up the practice. That's roughly equivalent to 1/3 of the population of the United States.
If they really want to eradicate the Falun Gong, that's only because there are a great number of people who are practicing Falun Gong. Some reporters told me that the number of people who are practicing have outnumbered the Communist Party members, so the government are kind of nervous about it.
Is this against the government?
是反对政府吗？
想都没想过。
Never thought about it.
我们都政府里面，我是共产党，要怎么就反共产党呢？
I'm a Communist Party member. How can I be against the government or against the Communist Party?
For many years.
很多年。党员很多年。
47年。
Been a party member for 47 years.
47 years in the Communist Party. Are you trying to overthrow the Communist Party?
您党员已经是47年了，您是就说现在要推翻这个共产党吗？
怎么能自己推翻自己呢？
How can I overthrow myself? How do you mean? I overthrow myself? I don't understand it.
It was then, April 25th, 1999, that about 10,000 practitioners assembled outside the main government buildings in Beijing to file a complaint with the authorities. The gathering was peaceful, nonviolent, and legal. After a few practitioners met with high-level government officials, everyone went home quietly. But because it took place in the capital, this event received world press attention. Some media presented it as a hostile demonstration. The government soon convinced itself that it was under attack, even though Falun Gong repeatedly emphasized that it had no political objectives or agenda. China insisted that Li Hongzhi himself organized the event.
The Chinese government has always believed that I have been behind all this. Actually, I want to state once again here, actually, I have not been involved in any of these activities.
But they seem to be afraid of you personally. Master Li, they think you are a big threat to China, a dangerous person.
似乎中国政府还是很害怕您的，认为您是对中国政府是一个很大的威胁。您是不是这么一个危险的人物？
其实这件事情本来不应该搞到这种程度。
Actually, it should not happen to this extent.
也许他们把我当作危险。
Maybe they have seen me as a threat, as a dangerous person.
我想这是因为他们对我不了解。
This is because they do not understand me well enough.
这一点我不能够怨他们。
This I cannot blame them.
但是我想，有那么长的时间对法轮功感到威胁，
so long a period of time,
对法轮功感到这个
they have felt threatened by
害怕。为什么不找我，直接找我？
Then why haven't they contact me in the first place and contact me directly?
我们早一点消除误会，不是更好吗？
It could have been better if we could have eliminated misunderstandings before us earlier.
如果真的我们做错了什么
If we had really done something wrong, I could correct. I could mend.
都是为了做好人嘛。
Each and every one of us want to be good persons, and we want to be good.
On July 22nd, the government of China announced a major crackdown on Falun Gong. Falun Gong books were banned and burned. The army and the police rounded up many practitioners, forcing them into stadiums. The story made big news worldwide. Falun Gong's perspective was often missing.
In Beijing Saturday, the government crackdown continued on members of the now outlawed Falun Gong meditation group. Beijing banned that group on Thursday after several days of silent protests. Police have also detained Falun Gong leaders and members.
If the Chinese government feels threatened by that...
Chinese government officials went on TV to justify their persecution of Falun Gong.
In fact, they are not only doing that, they have mobilized so-called demonstrations throughout the country in all 30 cities. They are interrupting traffic, block the traffic, interrupting social order.
Some practitioners were forced to confess and recant as if they were criminals. Many complained. Some protested, as this rare audio tape from China confirmed.
We've done nothing wrong to our country and our people. We have been taught to be good people, and we've conducted ourselves to what our teacher has told us. During the entire event, we haven't created any conflicts for government. On the contrary, the government has forced us to the stage of politics and positioned us as their opposition. Government made the mistake, not us.
An arrest order was dramatically issued for Li Hongzhi. Interpol, the international police agency, however, refused to serve it because there was no criminal wrongdoing and because it was considered blatantly political. In New York, Li Hongzhi asked for international help.
I hope all the people who have a kind heart and the various governments will step in to assist in the resolution of this issue.
Li Hongzhi himself was targeted by a slander campaign driven by propaganda TV shows like this, and even a vicious, nationally distributed comic book. Some newspapers in China even compared him to Hitler. Yet Li Hongzhi was never given a chance to respond to the relentless accusations.
I feel sorry that the Chinese government has taken such steps. But whatever Chinese government will do, I'm not going to against the government, and I don't want to get involved in politics.
The campaign that the Chinese government has taken on is a very vicious campaign, and so unnecessary. It's almost like in a few instances on TV and even in the press and the media, the written media, they've made fools of themselves.
He uses not magic, but a simple act of strength to show how the minds of Falun Gong followers can be bent as easily as a spoon.
They can be unfair to us, but we can never treat others with the same approach.
One of China's main charges is that Falun Gong irresponsibly encourages people to stop taking medicine, that even leads to suicide.
And I have books. I have never said this. What I'm doing is to tell people the relationship between practicing and cultivation and medicine taking.
China also tried to mock Li Hongzhi by claiming that he had warned practitioners that the end of the world was at hand. He denies making any such apocalyptic predictions.
I can proclaim here to everyone in all earnestness that all of those so-called catastrophes of the earth or of the universe and things of this kind in the year 1999 simply do not exist.
We've read numerous reports that the Chinese government is putting on a show trial to to prosecute, the innocent Falun Gong practitioners.
The human rights of more than 100 million practitioners have been violated.
The government of the People's Republic of China is brutally suppressing the practice of Falun Dafa.
It's hard to believe life imprisonment for people who are just meditating.
Falun Gong has tried to respond to China's barrage of charges and abuse. Practitioners have on their own voluntarily gone further, bringing their practice and passion to the United Nations in New York. In Washington, they've assembled at the Chinese Embassy and at the Congress of the United States.
I'm a software engineer. I flew in yesterday and trying to help out the situation in China because a lot of people are suffering and serious severe infringement of human rights. A lot of people are arrested, detained. I wish American people, including American senators and congressmen, can understand us more.
Certainly what they've done to these people, as I understand it, very innocent people, practicing their own personal beliefs, expressing themselves in a very peaceful, non-political way, is clearly an overreaction, and I hope that the Chinese come to realize that.
Eventually, 20 U.S. senators appealed to China to, quote, uphold the rights of practitioners to freedom of expression and assembly. The United States government then called on China to stop persecuting Falun Gong practitioners. A spokesman said, quote, no one should be persecuted for peaceful assembly, association, or peaceful expression of their views. The Canadian government condemned China's crackdown on Falun Gong, as did Miles Cooper, Australia's Deputy Foreign Secretary, who said, quote, the ban on Falun Gong does raise some serious questions about China's international commitments relating to freedom of assembly. Human rights groups also condemned China. Amnesty International said the crackdown, quote, marks the beginning of another cycle of stifled dissent and repression, end quote. Human Rights Watch called on China to end the ban because, quote, the Chinese people have a right to exercise their faiths peacefully. Does this look like a dangerous conspiracy or a spiritual practice worth exploring? So what is the real story of Falun Gong? The answer is not found in the media, not even in videos like this. It is in your willingness to investigate the practice for yourself. Can 100 million people be wrong? Possibly. But then again, they may have discovered a way to transform their lives in a way that is worth exploring on your own time. www.falundafa.org offers the information on the internet. A toll-free call to 1-877-FALUN-99